Alright, so we're gonna have to see what ends up happening.
Alright, so yes, High Five is the blue team, and Team Keepsports is actually the purple team. We've seen Keepsports happen in this game quite a bit, so that would be a very interesting matchup. I have not, I'm not sure that yeah, High Five Gaming
Yeah, High
Argentina,
Five
right?
Gaming is the other team.
Yeah, they're the Argentinian team. Yes, I know them now. Awesome. So actually, it says on the brackets that Team Keepsports is also Argentinian. That interesting matchup we have right now, both Argentinian teams. We'll see how they will go about this matchup, and we also can see if their playstyle is any different. I believe that I'm not sure if, yeah, they play on the NA servers. This tournament is on NA, duh. I probably should have figured that out a little earlier, but picks and bans already, Jarvan, Thresh, and Jace banned. Those are all pretty standard bans, I would have to say. Jarvan has been an extremely powerful jungler recently. He's just so tanky, and a lot of people are calling him a Mumu that does more damage because his ultimate, a cage that it's quite a good cage because you can't really spell shield it, you can't cleanse out of it. It's
It's a
just actually
95% slow. So 95% is essentially a disable. It's
yes,
it's
and
so slow that you just pretty much like you said, moonwalk.
yeah, you might as well not be able to move right there. And let's see, a Malphite also, and a Mumu and Jace band. A Mumu and Malphite, very, very, very heavy team fighters, along with Jarvan. As we know, they have all very nice shutdown AoE spells, and Thresh, in the same respect, is also a team fighter, so a lot of big teamfight champs banned out across the board, and also a Vi ban, once again, very standard because she's gotten a lot of mobility, and she's got very good early game kit. She can reduce armor, which is something that is very important in this sort of meta right now, especially complementing AD carries, even if it's Vi synergizes really well with a lot of AD carries because she can lower armor.
Definitely, and alternatively, Jarvan, he can also raise the armor for his team while simultaneously lowering. He can also lower armor of the enemy team with his lance attack, and it looks like Lean DeBera will pick up that Shen as a first pick. So we could see him go in the jungle or the top lane right here. So that's a pretty interesting pick. I have to say I still like Shen. They did remove Ionic Spark, so he cannot split push as much as he could in Season 2, but he still can pick up a Wit's End and just pretty much just split push and join a team fight as his own whim.
I think at this point, Shen is a better jungler, in my opinion, because in the top lane, he's simply not strong enough to compete with a lot of other top lanes, especially once he hits level 6. He's basically losing out on an ability that he can be using to 1v1. For instance, his ultimate you can't use in a 1v1 fight. His ultimate is something that you have to use to get to another lane, and that puts him at a huge disadvantage against someone like Riven, who's got an ultimate which powers up all of her spells and abilities, raises her damage, and also has that execute move at the very end. Also, someone like Wukong, who's got an AoE ultimate, knocks you up, it does a lot of damage over time. Shen doesn't have anything like that, so his 1v1 potential past level 6 is really hurting by that. If he goes into the jungle, he doesn't really need to worry about that. Not only that, but his ultimate synergizes even better in the jungle because there's no one to call MIA, there's no one to call, alright, Shen's backing off a little bit, he might be looking to ult. No one can really call that if he's in the jungle,
And
unless
no
you
one
have
no
it
one
more.
can just stun it either. Also, I'd have to agree with you there. Just building on to what you said, just a little bit more. Shen in the jungle. Another thing that's good about it is if say you're in top lane and you want to join a team fight, bottom lane or something like that. Normally you'd have to ult down there. And you might get a kill, but you generally lose your top tower because when they see you go down there and they see you and the jungler do a 4-man gank, they're going to take top tower and they're going to push really hard. So we're going to have to see, like if where they end up putting Shen. But as you can see, just some other picks coming out because we've talked a lot about the first one. Both bot lanes have been locked in. We are going to see a
Blitzcrank
I don't
as
know.
normal.
We could see Thresh or Lulu as the support, but Graves definitely the AD carry, and then
Well, that's
Blitzcrank
not Thresh,
and
that's Hecarim.
Ezreal. Oh, that's Hecarim. Oh, my bad. I'm dumb. So,
Yeah, a little bit.
so Thresherim, very, very strong. Very,
I'll
very
give you
strong
this though, they
champion.
look pretty similar. Both have the flames around the head,
Yeah,
right?
but one is like a greenish, and this is like a blue. But
All right.
Hecarim, very, very strong. As you know, his lifesteal ability has no cap, and it has no cap on champions. So you can literally, while you're in a team fight, you become twice as tanky just having that on, and you alternatively also do so much damage, especially with some extra movement speed there. And Lulu is going to be able to be one of those people to give it to him. So we're gonna have to see how that ends up working out, but I'd have to say Hecarim definitely one of the top tier junglers right now. And ooh, I definitely like the Lux pick. I'm a big fan of the Lux pick just because to me, at least to me, this is a personal opinion, Lux brings so much utility to her team as far and so much damage as well. Like she to me is one of the tier 1 AP mids just because her shield even at level 1 negates about 120 damage on one person. So if you have a level 1 team fight and you engage, that's about 500 to 700 damage reduction depending on how how well you hit your shield. Like if you're in a tight corridor, you can pretty much do that level 1, and that's pretty big.
Yeah, Lux has gotten some amazing utility, and a lot of people haven't quite been playing her as much as I think they should. And in this case, she also complements Blue Team's team comp very well as well, because they have a lot of abilities that can catch you out. They have a Blitzcrank hook, they have Shen's Shadow Dash, they have the Rupture from Cho'Gath, and they also have Lux's Snare. So if you get caught out, you can expect that you'll be CC'd until you die, and that just turns any situation into a 4v5, really, really helping the favor of Blue Team. And on top of that, they also have a pretty good team fight, because Lux has gotten quite a bit of AoE spells and AoE damage. On top of that, Cho is just a really tanky, and he's also got a lot of AoE as well. Ezreal is one of those champs which, as we've said before, he's a good all-round champ. He's got some poke, he's got team fighting, he's got early game, he's got mid game, he's got late game. Although he's not the best at all those roles. He's one that can really play all the roles sufficiently. And by roles, I mean not top lane, bottom lane, mid lane, stuff like that. I mean more so he can do all the poke. He can poke, team fight, early game, stuff like that. He can fit all those. And not only that, but they also have a lot of AoE on Shen, and Blitzcrank and Shen, once again, is another one of those heavy CC disruptors that is also very tanky.
Well, as you can see, as the stream saw about 20 seconds ago, we are now in the delay period, waiting for our game to get started here. You can now see the summoners. They are visible, and just to talk about them for a few seconds, Graves taking barrier on his, so their bot lane is going to have a barrier and exhaust, where alternatively Blitzcrank will have that exhaust, and Ezreal will be taking an ignite. So Ezreal having a more aggressive summoner spell, however, Graves going to be able to directly counter it and maybe have a little more utility. So we're going to have to see how both of those summoner spells end up paying out during the laning phase. We are going to see that, of course, Hecarim in the jungle, it's his best role, and he's really strong in it, so we were pretty much going to see that, and we're seeing Shen going to be put in the jungle. A pretty wise decision, probably both of us will agree with from our discussion earlier. Cho'Gath will be sent top lane. Cho'Gath, pretty good top lane, and he will be taking Ignite. Cho'Gath does have his passive, which will let him stay there forever, especially... Actually, Teemo might give him a run for his money. Teemo very aggressive, does a lot of damage and a lot of poison. And he is ranged, so he might be able to bully Cho'Gath, but in the mid lane, we will see Diana versus Lux. Both very good roamers, but Lux has that teleport. Going to be able to, provide a little bit more map presence. However, Diana does have that Ignite. She's going to be able to go all in on Lux, and they are probably going to be doing really well. Be able to maybe get a kill or two in lane. So we're going to have to see, whether thinking of the team or thinking of the lane works better.
Yeah, that's very true. And one of the things that we didn't mention earlier about Shen is that if he's in the jungle, it's, in my opinion, a better than top, because even late game, even if he's not in the top lane to start off with, late game he'll switch from jungle and he'll start split pushing top either way. So you don't necessarily have to put him top in order to get that split pushing potential that he has. So I expect to see a lot of that during the game, and it's going to be a very interesting game. Blue team, it looks like they have a much more standard AoE sort of team comp, whereas the purple team have much more of a certainly weirder team comp. It's hard to tell what's going to happen with the purple team, but they do have two champs that are going to dive in, and they also have Lulu to follow up with that with her ultimate. So it's going to be interesting in that respect, but we're going to have to see how these teams pull together.
Definitely. And it looks like going to be getting on this loading screen. So, Azza, you want to grace us with some color casting right here? Once it loads up.
It's taken quite a while to load up this time. There we go.
Ooh, that ping all around the board. It's pretty orange.
I guess they all are from Argentina. At least this will be a level playing field in terms of ping.
Definitely. They're not going to see one person who has a lot lower ping, but I have to give them props for playing with ping. And one thing I have to know about ping, at least because I have a couple experiences playing with not above normal ping, is notice if you look at the numbers of their ping, they're staying a constant. They're not really changing. And honestly, it's when you have a constant ping, even if it's a high ping, you can at least, your muscle memory will accommodate for the lag. But if your ping is ever changing and just unstable, you could even be at a really low ping, but it's just going to mess up your last hits because you don't know how lagged you are at any given moment.
That's very true. And let's all take a look at the skin war real quick. Nottingham Ezreal being the only skin for the blue team, whereas Blood Knight Hecarim and Dragon Trainer Lulu for the
Nottingham
purple team.
Ezreal, badass. It's a badass skin. I have that skin. That's the skin I use for Ezreal.
I use Frosted Ezreal myself.
I would have either used him or Explorer, but I don't like Internet Explorer.
Yeah, that's something interesting that they do have. I think almost every browse.
Yeah. You did miss Mafia Graves.
Ooh, I did miss that. Whoops. There we go. So 3 skins to 1. So I have to say the purple team's probably won this one. But let's see. We have Explorer Ezreal for Internet Explorer, Firefox Ari for Firefox, obviously, Chrome Rammus for Chrome, Safari Caitlyn. I think those are really the big.
Did they make one for Opera?
I'm trying to think of that myself.
They have no Lighthouse one. Do you remember Lighthouse from way back in the day?
I don't.
It was a super old one. I think it was only on Apple. So it was on Apple before in the 90s. Super old. All right. It's like we're going to be getting in with High Five and KS Gaming right here. Going to see how this game will end up turning out and see if, certain teams can pull out a victory here.
Alright, let's take a look at this. This game, I'm hoping, is going to end up being more interesting than the last one, where the last game was just more of a stomp than anything, whereas this game, hopefully, they're going to be more evenly matched. Definitely heard of both teams, and both teams do fairly well in some of these tournaments, so let's see.
I'd like to note right off the bat, before any action's happening, Graves did start with that Doran's Blade, which is really a double-edged sword right there, because he's not going to have any lane sustain, but he does have barrier, so he can get caught out once. But, ooh, no, Cho'Gath revealing himself right there. Probably not the best idea. Did Diana see it, though?
30 seconds until
Not
It
sure.
looks like Lulu might be coming around. She's going to try to poke out.
Ooh.
Yes, and they do know. But Blitzcrank's there.
Oh. Yeah, unfortunately, they aren't going to get anything because Blitzcrank just waited for too long. Again, that could just be a thing of dealing with ping. So we're going to have to see, we're going to have to see the reaction time of all the different people in this game.
Alright, it looks like the blue team, they are still sticking as a team, so it looks like they might just be trying for a different point of invasion. They're looking to go from the bot lane instead of going from the mid lane, and Ezreal might have revealed that one to Lulu, but not yet. They
There
might
it
be
is.
able to
They're
land
coming
the
in. Blitzcrank flash pull, but Lulu does flash out of there, and unfortunately they're not going to be able to catch her. The Glitter Lance does not hit, but she is going to have enough distance there. Very nice flashes out of both supports right there.
Yeah, flash for flash, support for support. So that was generally an even trade. But on the other hand, blue team is going to force red team away from their blue buff, and red team is still making their way onto the blue buff. So blue team is going to be just that slight bit ahead, 1 or 2 seconds in terms of their jungle timing. And there we go. Shen has finished his blue buff, and it looks like it's going to be about 7 seconds later. Hecarim's going to finish with his, so that's going to be very interesting. We'll have to see if blue team can really make any advantage of that early start. I want to see if
Ooh,
Shen might
buckshot.
try to pull for a level 2 gank.
I do have to say I did like the fact that Team KS did respond. I thought that was very, very good around them because most teams would just take the loss and go to their red. So now, literally, they've just re-evened the playing field. Ooh, but one thing you have to note right here is they did leave one of the minions up for the red team's blue. So, you know, they're going to have to do something about that to deal with that.
That's a good point. So, and the red team didn't do that for the blue side, so it looks like the blue team is going to be ahead in that respect as well. So these junglers, we're not seeing too much of a difference right now, but we might start seeing some soon. They both have sustain, so
the only negative part about leaving that minion alive is now that they no longer have timing for the red team's blue. So if they wanted to invade it a second time, they're not going to be able to because they're not going to be able to see it when it comes up, or they're not going to know what time it'll come up because they don't have the spawn timer.
Yeah, I think the only thing they might be able to do about that is go for a ward. Oh, and they've already placed an aggressive ward there. We'll see if they keep up with the aggressive warding, but that's, for the most part, going to rely on how well they're doing in the bot lane. Aggressive warding in the enemy team's jungle, when it is the bottom half of the jungle, really depends a lot on how well your bot lane is doing. If your supports are getting assists, or if your support is getting assists, then she can afford to buy some extra wards, and you'll also be pushing. You will feel safer going into their jungle knowing that you're ahead. So it really depends on whether you're ahead or not, whether or not you're going to be able to pull off some of those aggressive warding. It looks like mid lane Hecarim might be gearing up for a gank.
Oh, yeah, he's right there, but Diana going in a little too early, pushing Lux off, and I feel like he could do a little better by going all the way around, but it looks like no, he's just going to back off right there. And just noting something in the top lane, because we've been going up there every once in a while. In the top lane, we've seen, you know, Teemo just poking Cho'Gath constantly, but as you look at his health right here, his health is still pretty well, because as you know, he does have a passive that he passively heals his health and mana based on the creatures he killed, so his last hitting. So his last hitting directly correlates with his sustain. So I feel like Cho'Gath's not going to be having that hard of a time, especially with his 4 potions and that. And Hecarim comes in the middle right here. Diana does hit her spell, but again, look at Lux shield preventing a lot of the damage right there. Getting taken down to about 4th, but she will get out of that alive.
Oh, 1 sec, just take a little bit of time to change up your champion lineup on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
There is a mid lane gank, however. Shen does land the Shadow Taunt.
Shen does come right there. Diana gets caught out by the Lux Binding, taking a lot of damage, ends up flashing under her tower right there. And that's going to be no kills there, but a flash blown. And Lux didn't blow her flash, I don't believe.
Lux did not blow her flash, and neither did Shen, so that is a good engagement on their part. And both champs in the mid lane level 5. I think Lux might have the advantage as soon as it hits level 6. And Hecarim just barely missing a gank right there. So once Lux hits level 6, I feel like she's going to have this lane a little bit better, but Shen's in for another gank, but he's only level 3, and he's going to have to back off for that. And as I was trying to say a couple times, I feel like Lux is going to have the advantage once she hits level 6, because Diana's entire mechanic is about being close to you, and Lux is one of the great champs at keeping people at range. You land a snare, then they can't dash onto you, they can't run towards you, and the rest of her abilities are really long range.
Definitely. It looks like Hecarim's coming in here on the top lane here. He's going to pin Cho'Gath against that wall, taking a lot of damage there from Teemo. The knockup will hit Teemo, so ending Ignite going down on Cho'Gath. He does flash away. And Teemo flashing after with the auto attack, getting first blood for KS. Very, very nice flash. That was barely in the auto attack range right there. So yeah, I'd have to say good pickup there by the red team.
If Roberto had miscalculated just a tiny bit, he might have been the one who died from the tower. But great play there, and I think he might play Teemo fairly often to know exactly what range he would need, because if he would have missed,
Graves gets hit by that knockup. Gets knocked up right there. The Ignite does go down, and there's an exhaust. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do. He does pop barrier, but he will go down shortly after. Now Lulu might be in trouble here. Blitzcrank does have his knock up again, but they're not going to be able to catch Lulu, as she will save Vroom Vroom and drive her little stick off into the distance and escaping that gank. But that was a 1-for-0 trade, and now gold still in the favor of the red team because they did get first blood, but the kills are now even.
Blitzcrank is a really powerful support, and I think at that point Lulu and Graves just played that wrong. Lulu went up to go ward the try, however Graves was walking backwards instead, so they were split up heavily. They were both walking in straight lines, and at that point Blitzcrank really just needed to decide, hey, who do I want to land the pull on, because it was really not too hard to land a pull on either of them. And Graves, he should have dashed a little bit sooner rather than waiting until Blitzcrank had actually landed the grab to pull him, and being that far extended in the first place is never a good thing to do against a Blitzcrank, and they would have to play this lane more carefully if red team wants to win back the bot lane.
Definitely. And just taking a quick look at the CS here, top lane fairly even, and even in the jungle, actually all across the board other than in bot lane, Graves actually out-CSing the Ezreal, despite the fact that Ezreal and Blitzcrank do have a kill on Graves. We're gonna have to, so Graves doing pretty good job of farming right there, so we're gonna have to see how that ends up taking him into the late game, because Graves, I would say Graves and Ezreal both equivalently good in the late game. I'd say Graves might do just a bit more damage than Ezreal, but Ezreal does have that long range ult, does have that arcane shift that is ever so useful. So we're going to have to see how that pans out.
We will, and Lux is on her way. It looks like she's moving top lane. Might be trying to get a gank off onto Teemo, but there is a ward there, so we will be able to see that. Hecarim might be on his way for a counter gank as well.
Hecarim's going to be taking red, but he's still close enough that he might be able to respond. And also Lux, I'd have to note that she has not backed yet. She still just has a fairy charm, so if something happens, then she's not really going to be able to do anything. And it looks like here comes Hecarim. He's probably going to be doing something here, as they do see Lux. Unfortunately, does miss the binding there. They're going to try to kill Teemo. Misses all her skill shots. And Robert is going to make it out there pretty easily.
I feel like that could have been played a lot better by Lux, and now she's going to get caught out.
Yeah, definitely. Here comes Hecarim and Diana here. Lux, not sure if she has her shield off cooldown yet. There it is, preventing so much damage, but Diana does have the ult there. Cho'Gath going to be able to pick up Hecarim there as a kill, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get out of this one alive. Teemo doing a lot of damage, and Robert will pick up that kill right under his tower. Not quite getting there fast enough, and that's pretty good there. But oh, Lulu knocking up the team, getting the kill. Ezreal flashes away, not going to be enough though. And that will be a kill for each of the AD, but now Ezreal is dead, and Graves is just going to be able to farm for a while. Again, his farm is going to slowly start getting more and more in favor of the lane. Ezreal does have a kill over him, and I actually do say Ezreal is going to be building item advantage too, because I'm not a big fan of Blade of the Rune King, especially as the first item on Graves.
One thing I would like to go back to once again before you went off on that is that Lux really could have played that top lane situation better. They really needed to coordinate who needs to start off the spell. If they would have waited for Cho'Gath to land the Rupture, she could have landed her snare a lot more easily.
Here comes Shen going in on Graves down in the bot lane here. The pull does hit him, does not hit the knockup though. And unfortunately, he might get away. The exhaust was blown. Some very nice smoke screen there. Blitzcrank flashes after, but he's not going to get the knockup. Here comes Hecarim to respond, doing a lot of damage. And it looks like they still might be looking to get Graves. Looks like they're going to try to burst Shen before he leaves. He ends up getting the shield off and leaves Blitzcrank in the bush and saving Blitzcrank's life as well. That was such a close fight right there. Very nice Shen ult, and it was down to probably about 50 to 100 HP that he lived. So
that entire play was basically the only reason the blue team didn't come out so far behind on that was because Lux used her teleport at an amazing time, was able to snare the red team and do so much damage. It allowed them to disengage. Very nice teleport, and even though she didn't pick up a kill, and as I always like to say, if you're taking teleport, then you need to make some action happen with it, because you are foregoing one of your in-lane summoner spells like Exhaust or Barrier, Cleanse, or Ignite. So instead of being able to pick up a kill with Ignite, she needs to make some action happen in other lanes with Teleport in order to keep that advantage on her.
Diana going aggressive on Lux here, using both of her dashes. Unfortunately, I think she's going to make it under her tower here. Diana not wanting to go too far in, not knowing where Shen was or what Lux had up, really. So that's
Hecarim might have a different opinion, however, but Shen is also there. He might be able to engage himself. Here we go.
Oh, here comes Hecarim, getting the fear off just barely, and oh, Lux falling before Shen's able to enter that fight. And now they might look to go aggressive on this Shen here. No, it looks like they're going to maybe try to take this tower here. Hecarim now tanking the tower here. Shen going to be able to get away, and there goes the Ezreal just to make sure that if they dove Shen, you would have a better chance of picking one up.
Indeed, and going back to way back to what you said about
Graves getting hit by that pull. Ignite instantly going off, but Lulu all does go off and doing so much damage. And Blitzcrank and Ezreal almost getting taken down. Not the smartest idea, though, as if you did notice, Ezreal ran out of mana so fast right there. He really wasn't ready for an extended fight, so they just had to back out.
Yeah, and they also underestimated the burst damage that Graves has. If you are very close to Graves, his buckshot will do even more damage to you. 33% more damage, I believe. 35% more damage from each additional bullet that hits you from buckshot. So that's going to be able to increase his burst damage when he is in your face. And that's one thing that Blitzcrank does, is basically get Graves as close to your AD carry as he can. It's not quite the best matchup for Blitzcrank, so he's really going to have to decide when to land those hooks. And that would have been a horrible hook, actually. I'm glad Blitzcrank landed that hook, because he's not using that hook efficiently. If he'd have pulled Graves in,
probably would have killed Ezreal.
Yeah, he might have been able to either kill Ezreal or Blitzcrank, and that is horrible, as Ezreal, as we've already mentioned, he's very low on mana. He's not really going to be able to do much. This might be a better pull because Shen's here.
Yeah, Shen is here now, and the ult does hit them both, and ooh, that Q does too. Being taken down to about 4th health, but they will run away.
Yes, that's very true, and Hecarim is also down.
Almost getting caught out by the Shen taunt there. Hecarim having a lot of lifesteal though, and he gets hit by the pull. Very nice pull. They're going to be able to burst him down here. No, he won't. Ezreal missing his stuff, but getting one more Q right there real quick. And now Ezreal might be in trouble here as 3 members of the red team are closing in on them. Ezreal getting taken so low by Graves. Very nice Shen taunt right there, keeping Diana away from him. Now Diana is taking the tower there. Lux did not have the shield though, and I'm not sure if Lux is going to be able to follow this up. No, Lux is not, and they will get out of there scot-free. I definitely thought for a second their blue team was going to turn that fight around.
Yeah, that was just very unfortunate for the blue team. They did not expect Diana to down there, and she really just did so much damage in that team fight. It's quite a shame, and right now Diana's already gotten her 3 kills. She's 3-0-3, Rod of Ages. A very nice item on Diana, because she's an AP carry, but also she's one of those AP carries that her job is to basically get into your face. She needs to be in the middle of the team fight to do all of her damage, because her shield, the shield that she has that also procs some damage when the balls hit people, is very, very close range. You need that to do all your burst damage. She's also got the Moonfall, which draws in all of the enemies around her. Great disruption ability, and she's also got dashes. So the majority of her kit is based around being in the middle of a team fight. Very nice pickup to get more health and tankiness on a champ like Diana.
Yeah, very true. And as we can see, Ezreal finishing that Bloodthirster.
Top lane, there is a Hecarim.
Yeah, there is a Hecarim there, but this fight gonna be going pretty slow. Teemo flashing over, actually, blinding Cho'Gath, and Lux Laser getting a lot of damage there, going to be taking down Hecarim, and now actually Teemo might be in trouble. Bot lane, Lulu getting caught out, having the blower all on herself, and there's gonna be, oh, Ezreal flash auto attack the creep for a minute. Thought Lulu was gonna go away, but no, going to end up being taken down, and Diana did roam top lane. Now it looks like Graves in trouble. Very nice blitz hook right there. Might cause his death though. Who will get taken down right here? Ezreal will be the victor of that. I thought Graves was going to just kill Blitzcrank, but trying to kill Ezreal, thought he could do it, but Unfortunately, no. He was just one small hit away. Maybe even a hit from a creep would have killed Ezreal right there. But again, dude, that was a really, really close fight there, and a very, very particles away from missing blitz hook. I'd have to say that blitz hook probably a lot better than his previous ones because it was exactly what you wanted to do. So kudos to that blitz.
Yeah, that was a much better blitz hook than the other ones he was trying to land, and I think one thing that would have benefited Red Team better in that engagement down there was if Graves had more decisiveness. When Lulu was in the process of dying, he was thinking to himself, oh man, I gotta get out of here, I gotta get behind the turret. After Lulu died, he had turned around to start doing some damage, and I think that it would have worked better for him if he either would have turned around and started fighting while Lulu was dying. That way he would have the distraction on Lulu, people would be doing damage to Lulu while he could put his own damage out, or he would also have Lulu's skills to protect himself. And a great steal by Ezreal, oh my god,
Very
with
nice,
his ultimate.
Very nice. That's just, as I was saying in Champ Select, just using that snipe can really do a lot for your team, and even though Graves might have more damage, it brings so much utility. Because who needs a map?
Who needs a map?
You belong in a museum.
Did have a... Oh god, we're starting with this now?
Yeah. Just for a team fight, just you belong in a museum. You belong in a museum.
Diana is in the bot lane, but the ward from blue will deter them, hopefully.
Very nice.
We'll see how blue team reacts to that, but they are staying under the tower, not being too aggressive. Good decision on their part, not pressing their luck at all. And Diana's just going to roam back to mid lane.
I will have to note that Cho'Gath, looking at his items, he is building AP Cho'Gath as opposed to AD Cho'Gath or some other tankier build, and it looks like Graves will get caught out right here, taking a lot of damage. Blitzcrank getting that knock-up. Unfortunately, there will be a disengage from both sides as Blitzcrank was getting taken really low.
One thing blue team has to consider in these next few engagements is the fact that Lulu has her ultimate up. They don't know that, but the last time Lulu used her ultimate was 3 or 4 minutes ago, so they have to assume that it's up by now. And that would really turn any fight in the red team's favor. If Blitzcrank were to land a pull, then Lulu could easily just knock both members of blue team up, and he would be able to put down his own burst damage with Buckshot and his ultimate and turn that fight around really easily. So they're going to have to be very, very careful in this bot lane in this next engagement.
Definitely. And that's one reason why I was a bit skeptical about the Blitzcrank, especially since Lulu was picked first, and they are going to be sitting on a ward here, and you don't want to be a person sitting on a ward ever. Because there's nothing good comes out of sitting on a ward. Nothing. Because not only do they know you're there, but you're wasting time doing stuff. But we're going to see if they're going to end up going aggressive here. No, it looks like Blitzcrank will just take some free damage there, and Graves might be looking to go farther. Graves getting the speed up there, and Blitzcrank being taken really low, trying to take him down right there. Unfortunately, Blitzcrank does have his passive nice and ready. Ezreal, though, the whole time doing damage to Graves, and now it looks like they might even be able to fight. But here comes Hecarim, getting the fear onto Blitzcrank, not really hitting Ezreal, and it looks like Ezreal being taken low, picking up Graves, adds a nice consolation prize, choosing not to dive, getting a double kill. He might look to get after Lulu, and here comes Lux. Very nice roam by Lux, and the Arcane Shift does go down. Not going to be able to pick up that Lulu, though. Goes off at the last minute, didn't realize that he was dead and didn't really want to die, but he ends up getting picked up anyway.
And Shen is here seeing if he can do anything to the Lulu, who's just taunting them with about 100 health left.
Ezreal should have kept going. He should have. I think at that point he was already dead. They could have really benefited from another kill.
I think that the red team just made a big mistake in that bottom lane where they had some miscommunication there. You know, Thresh was... Sorry, not Thresh. Yeah, you got me.
now I got you saying it.
Hecarim was already on his way out of the tower, while Graves was on his way into the tower. So when Ezreal started to use his abilities, Hecarim had already crossed paths with Graves, and Graves was in the front. So that was the main reason he died in that engagement, just not expecting it whatsoever. And Lulu decided to ult Hecarim while he was on his way out once again. So more communication definitely needed there. If Hecarim would have known that Lulu placed her ult on Hecarim, I'm sure he would have stayed in there for the Ezreal kill a little bit longer. If not, then Lulu should have ulted Graves, or maybe they should have communicated saying, hey everyone, get out, so maybe they wouldn't have lost to anyone in that engagement and pick up the Blitzcrank kill, but also great awareness on Diana for being down in the bot lane and picking up that kill at the very end.
Definitely.
Also, Lux Mr. Ult.
And Lux, I don't know if she's hit many ultis, in fact. And
No, not at all.
I don't think
I
I've
think
seen
she
an
might
ult
have hit
connect. But Lux, very, very strong champion if she hits her skill shots. But again, Lux almost, actually, all of her skills are skill shots. So she does require skill to play. So
Yeah.
Prophecy probably, for all we know, could be a really good Lux and just having a bad day. I mean, it happens to everyone. So we're going to have to see if she can maybe, turn her play around and start playing, just a little better.
Azriel has gone back and got a Sheen and a Bloodthirster combo, whereas Graves is opting for Blade of the Ruined King into maybe a Bloodthirster, maybe an IE. It's really hard to say because he's gotten the BF sword. And normally, with an attack speed item first, you would go for the Bloodthirster second. However, Blade of the Ruined King also gives you quite a bit of lifesteal, so he could either go for the Bloodthirster for more lifesteal, or he could go for the straight-up Infinity Edge and go for Crit Graves, which just does a lot more burst damage.
Ooh, I almost thought Cho'Gath was going to go for a kill right there. Gonna maybe flash Munch. As you can see, he is building AP Cho'Gath, so he does have a lot
Diana
of
in the bot lane, but Shen is on his way, and so is Lux. Ezreal's almost there as well.
We could see a fight here, but we're gonna have to see a blitz hook or something come out of that. Maybe a Lux
Hecarim's
fight.
even down here too.
Yeah, we have a straight 4v4 situation here bottom lane, and top lane, Cho'Gath could dive Teemo at any moment, in all honesty, as well. Looks like he wants to start some action here. Looks like he might go for a pull. Yeah, does go for a pull, but he's going to miss it. And
Good Graves dash right there, just predicting the hook right. And both teams are not quite making action happen. They both want to initiate in their own way, and Diana might be able to do that if she lands her Crescent Slash on Ezreal. I think that's what Crescent Strike. Ugh. Well, it's Crescent something. She throws something in the shape of a crescent and it strikes people. How about that? But if she lands it...
Sorry, finish what you're saying. But that Teemo's going to get dove.
If she lands it on Ezreal, then they might be able to
pull goes down on Lulu with a taunt following up. She's going to be able to ult herself, though, and she will survive. Cho'Gath picking up Teemo in the top lane, just as I said right there. And it looks like, unfortunately, Shenol is not going to be able to save Ezreal right there. And will Lux end up picking up the kill? Yes, they will! Blitzcrank also wasting his flash, though, being picked up by that Graves, though. And it looks like Cho'Gath is going to be easily able to take this top lane. Just that lumbering Hulk going to be just taking down the tower. He does have so much armor right now. Currently has about 150 armor. And does he have all 6 stacks? I believe he does. He's a pretty big Cho'Gath. Yeah, he does have all 6 stacks. He's just going to be able to take that tower down by tanking it. And this will be a dragon coming out from red team, but we're going to see maybe Lux is there. Ezreal is now up, so they might look to steal, and they're going to smartly back off.
And with that, the bottom lane fight right there was a 2-for-2. So it's fairly even for both teams. However, Blue team did get the shutdown bonus on Diana, which is huge in this fight, but on the other hand, Diana did pick up an extra kill down there, so she's also going to be snowballing even more now. She's gotten her needlessly large rod, probably going for a death cap after that. Or, actually no, not death cap, Zhonya's, what am I saying? Or, might be death cap, I'm not sure. Both would be pretty good on Diana's. She's far enough ahead that she could get the death cap and still survive in fights, and Zhonya's is a decent item on Diana because she also, like I said before, jumps into the middle of fights, and it's really nice to have Zhonya's to prevent that damage. But on the other hand, as I'm saying that, I realized that if she were to go for Zhonya's, I'm pretty sure she would have gotten the Seeker's Arm Guard earlier in her build, as a 26-minute Seeker's Arm Guard might not be the best decision at this moment.
I have to say, Shen definitely a little bit behind Hecarim here, but Shen does have that locket, and he does have a little more utility. Hecarim will provide a lot more damage, but at the moment, I have a feeling that Shen providing a lot of utility to his team right now. Cho'Gath one of the strongest people on the map, I'd have to say. Look at his items. He does have that visage, the spirit visage, and that is just going to allow him to sustain even more. And it's going to give him a little more magic resist against Teemo, and they could look to pick up yet another kill on Teemo here and push the tower. And Blitzcrank hooking Lulu right there. Very nice hook, but Diana is there to respond. Going to be diving on Ezreal and using her ult. Graves bursting them down. Here comes Lux. Actually hits her all 3 members of the red team. Ends up being pushed out though, and now it looks like she is in trouble though. Giving the blue buff to Graves right there. That's not going to be good. Now Hecarim chasing this Blitzcrank down. That is going to be at least a tower right here. 2 members of the red team being taken really low, but very, very nice fight for the red team. They played it really well, and that Lux just kind of teleported to her death right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we've been saying, Blitzcrank perhaps not choosing the best hooks to take. That time he was unaware of the fact that Diana was waiting.
Shen taking so much damage from those Teemo shrooms. Going to be able to be picked up by Teemo right there. Now Cho'Gath getting taken really low. Teemo, that Lilandry's doing so much damage. Now Teemo does get knocked up, but he is a very fast champion. Might be able to close the gap. He's going to walk right into a shroom. The big lumbering Cho'Gath going to get hit, and Robert is going to take up a double kill. 2v1 in the top lane there. Very nice up there, up on the top, seeing that Shen was getting low, taking his opportunity and just running with it. That's exactly what you want to see. And that's exactly how the red team is in that gold lead, because they're taking more opportunities. Blue team still in this, but they're going to have to, fight better fights.
Definitely. They need to make sure they pay more attention to where the red team is. Very, very often have they initiated a fight which looks like a good fight to them, however it turns out Diana's really close to them, and Diana just cleans up the fight, or Hecarim is sitting in a bush nearby waiting to charge in. So blue team, they need more awareness. They've been doing pretty good with their wards. I'm not sure if they just haven't been paying as much attention to their wards as they could be, or if they just simply didn't ward enough. But either way,
I have to point out is the blue team does have a very big ward advantage. That is true. Other than Teemo shrooms, the blue team has a very big ward advantage. But
yeah, but whether or not they're paying attention to those wards is a different story, because they did get ganked by both Hecarim and Diana in the bot lane multiple times over and over again, which really snowballed the lane in the favor of Graves. And even though Ezreal has 7 kills, Graves has his Blade of the Ruined King and Infinity Edge, along with 6 of his own kills.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
A 40 farm lead.
Ezreal definitely having a lot better poke damage right now. He does have that last Whisper, which is going to help him deal with that Hecarim and that Lulu, because bursting that Lulu has been a problem in the past. They tend to focus Lulu, and I don't know why they do, but Blitz needs to try and worry on focusing Graves, maybe trying to catch Graves more, but either way, we are seeing that right now. I would have to say the red team is in a stronger position, and the gold will also reinforce that. As you can see, they do have a 4K gold lead about, and it is 30 minutes into the game, so that is not the biggest thing, but we are going to eventually see it where the gold lead doesn't matter. Everyone is going to hit, max level. Everyone's going to hit max gold. So then it's going to be all about objectives, all about towers, and all about kills, and all about team fights. And I have to say, so far, I'd have to say, out of all the team fights, the blue team has had some slightly better fights. They have had a few missteps, but overall, the red team has overextended more and had a few more missteps than the blue team has. So we're going to have to see who really ends up taking it in the late game, because the red team is obviously stronger, as shown by the last 2 or so fights.
Now that Cho'Gath is with the fights for the blue team, they're going to have a huge huge advantage over the blue team, whereas Teemo does quite a bit of damage. He does have a blind, but all in all, I feel as though Cho'Gath has just a lot more team fight utility than Teemo does. And because he's got so much tankiness, because he's got so much CC, and he's also got Feast as well, so that's going to help them team fight much better. And if blue team can start landing their AoE spells and start locking people down as well as their team comp allows them to, then they're going to be on top of the team fight. However, if they get caught out by something like Diana just bursting down Ezreal or Lux too early, then it might be the red team's team fight. So we're going to have to see how both teams decide to end up fighting this. And the entire fight is really going to depend on
Ooh, and
initiation.
it looks like here's the engagement. Diana and Hecarim engaging, and Diana gets Lulu ulted. A lot of damage coming out. Teemo getting the knock up there. Cho'Gath is in the middle, and so is Shen, but Shen will get picked up. Shen is not that tanky yet, and it looks like Hecarim did get taken down by the carries, but he did keep them out of the fight. Very nice Lux fighting there, keeping two of the members of the red team there. Oh, if that Blitz hook would have hit Graves or Teemo, they might have been able to pick up a quick kill right there. But unfortunately, that fight will fall in the favor of the red team there. Red team really low, but they're going to be able to pick up the tower.
That was a really bad team fight for the blue team. There are so many things they could have played better in that fight. First and foremost, the thing that hurt them the most was the fact that Hecarim basically charged right into the back line, and he was doing damage to both Ezreal and Lux the entire time, keeping them out of the fight. Whereas the tanks, such as the tanks in the utility, such as Blitzcrank, Cho'Gath, Shen, they did absolutely nothing about it. Blitzcrank was too busy trying to pull Ezreal into the fight and try to burst down Ezreal, try to target the carries, but really, one thing Blitzcrank needs to do in this fight is worry about his own carries. If he were to, instead of targeting Ezreal for a full pull, target Hecarim, he would be able to pull them away from their own carries. He would pull the entire fight back into the big AoE that the blue team was able to take right there with both Cho'Gath and Shen, and Cho'Gath and Shen both had some nice AoE control that fight.
Very nice pull by Blitzcrank! I was like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Very nice. This Blitzcrank, perfectly on time with that. Just no scope that blue right there. Completely, that was a beast pull right there.
Did they even have a ward on that?
No, that was completely blind. That was impressive.
Oh my god.
That was an impressive pull right there.
It was a good guess. It was more of a guess than an actual impressive timed pull, but very, very nice. Taking it away from Diana is the thing you want to pay attention to here, rather than the fact that Blitzcrank has it. But Diana's going to have to worry about her spells quite a bit more, as she's going to have to deal with heavier cooldowns along with less mana, so very nice pull in the long run. And really, like I said before, what blue team needs to do, they need to make sure they win these team fights, and they fight team fights in a good way. They really, really need peel for Ezreal and Lux, because they did absolutely no damage that fight.
And picking off that Teemo. Sorry for interrupting you there, but
they did absolutely nothing in that fight other than get zoned by Hecarim. So all of blue team's damage really wasn't there for that fight.
No, unfortunately, blue team not able to steal this dragon, though. They do have, again, very good steal potential with a lot of abilities, but they just weren't able to pick that one up right there. However, they did almost have a really good pick. For a while there, the red team was just sitting on wards. I don't know if you ended up noticing that, but they were just kind of camping around on wards, and blue team tried to do a pick there, but they didn't end up hitting any of their skill shots. And if they did get a pick right there, that would have been huge. That would have definitely given them at least a tower or a dragon.
Definitely. And any one person catches out a member of the red team, hopefully the rest of the blue team will be able to burst them down and force a 4v5 situation, as I've said before. But as you said, they just weren't able to do that, which is quite unfortunate. Now we're going to have to see how both teams respond to this. Actually, Teemo picking up his own Blade of the Ruined King, that's an odd choice. Looking like he's going for more of a hybrid Teemo sort of thing, where he has Rylai's, Liandry's, and Blade of the Ruined King. Very
Teemo
odd
of the
build.
Ruined King.
The Blade of the Ruined King does give him more attack speed, which helps proc his poison for the rest of his AP to make use of, but you know, I'm sure there were better choices rather than that. I think, which is it?
Either a Malady or a Nash's Tooth. I'd say would have been a better choice. Either a Malady or a Nash's Tooth, because Blade of the Ruined King doesn't have cooldown reduction. Teemo's blind, very useful. Also, Teemo's
doesn't lower magic resist like Malady does, I believe. Wait, does Malady lower magic resist, or was that Wit's End?
Wit's End. That's Wit's End is what you're thinking of, but no one buys that anymore, except for maybe Shen's. Did the Shen buy it? Nope. But the Shen, really, I'd have to say, does provide some utility to his team, but his items just aren't very tanky. I think Shen is currently one of the person that is kind of holding the blue people back, just because of the fact that if you just look at their items, this is not very tanky at all.
I'll be honest, I don't like the Spear of Visage pickup on Shen. I don't think he's going to be healing enough with his Vorpal Blade to forego another tanky item like something... Spear of Visage is pretty cheap, but he also could have gotten that and turned it into, say, a Sunfire's Cape or something like that, which gives him armor and health rather than just having extra health. Not as much health, granted, some magic resist and the self-healing thing, which is the most interesting thing in my opinion, because I don't know, I just would have liked to see more straight-up tankiness rather than a better healing item.
I am going to have to agree with you a little bit. They do have a lot of AP damage coming out on the side of the red team here for KS Gaming. Unfortunately, just picking up that Spear Visage, a reason I think that it was a good buy on Cho'Gath was, one, he was going against a Teemo in lane, and he got it in lane. So it was a very, very good pickup there. Also, he does have his passive, and he
Spear Visage on Shen, not Cho'Gath.
No, I understand, but I'm saying that I don't like it on Shen. I think it was a good buy on Cho'Gath though,
right?
Because
yeah, I agree.
You know. But yeah, I do have to agree. It was picked up a bit too late, whereas I just feel like a better item could have been put in his place. Maybe even a Warmogs, which I'm not sure the cost differentiations between those two items, but I don't think they're that wide. And it looks like
Hecarim's
they are going to be an engagement here. Hecarim is alone, right in the back of the team, and he's going to be focused down almost. Looks like here, he does pop his ult though. Wasn't even ulted there before. Hecarim will fall down, and now it looks like the red team being taken low. Very nice silence by Cho'Gath right there. And Diana diving right into the middle of the team right here. And it looks like now they pick up Lulu right there with a quick jump over the wall. And now Graves gets slowed. That Iceborne Gauntlet going to be slowing Graves. And this fight definitely went in favor of the blue team. Don't run over the shrooms, Blitzcrank, don't! And he ends up getting away. Shen's Oracle catching the vision of those shrooms right at the last minute. So Blitzcrank did not face check those. Looks like the shroom may help defend this tower, though. No, actually, they're going to pick it up. Very, very nice. That Oracle paying off very, very well, in fact, actually. Those shrooms probably would have killed Blitzcrank, would have halted the push a lot. Looks like they're going to need to do it. Very nice pickup by Lux. Very good binding. And this is going to be a tower push up here in the mid lane. They might even be able to get the inhibitor, as Teemo is the only one who's up. He is still very low. I don't know what he was doing just farming the top lane right there, but Hecarim is up now. I'm not sure if he alone can push away all four members of the blue team. And this is a very big turn of events. Just Hecarim was just so separated from his team, and the red team just was catching up. And by the time they picked up Hecarim, they really weren't able to accomplish much else. So they just turned on the rest of the team. So that was very, very well played by the blue team. And again, as I was saying earlier, the red team just has had more missteps, and that would be their one downfall, because they did have a pretty good lead. That, just having those missteps are going to throw the game. And uh-oh, Ezreal. Nope, Teemo's not going to do it.
Yeah, and as you mentioned just now, the main reason that fight went bad for the red team was the fact that Hecarim just kind of tried to go God mode and do the same exact thing he did before, where he just dove right into the very back line and start trying to kill both Ezreal and Lux, but this time he was just so much more separated from his team. Not only that, but I think blue team got a little wise to that, well, all except for Cho'Gath, and they ended up peeling for both Ezreal and Lux instead of trying to go after the carries of the red team. So that was the main reason why that fight went in favor of the blue team. So very good play on their part, and as you said, once again, a misstep for the red team.
Also, Diana, breaking down that team fight even more, Diana was straight in the middle of the enemy team, and an exhaust got dropped on her, so she was essentially not really useful in that fight. And it was true, Cho'Gath was tanking the back line, but he has a Frozen Heart, an Abyssal Scepter, a Rod of Ages. He is just so tanky right now. At the time, he was at 6 stacks. That's an extra 900 HP, because I believe, yeah, he was level 18 that last fight. Just trying to get his stacks up there, as you see in the mid lane, but he was full stack, so he was so tanky. He was able to keep the team busy for long enough that Diana and Hecarim were dead by the time the rest of the blue team turned around to fight. As you saw, he did place key silences, key knockups, to the point where he was CCing, pretty much keeping busy 3 members of the red team. And that just made all the difference in the fight. So I'd have to say one of the MVPs definitely goes to Cho'Gath right there for that fight, but just overall well played. And this could be a Baron dance right here for the members of the blue team right here. Red team are all here though, so we got to see how this ends up turning out. Hecarim does have his ult back up, so he might jump over this wall.
He might, and Blitzcrank is going to try to look to land a pull to catch someone out, and here he goes. Looking for a Lulu or Graves, most likely. He's chasing for quite a while, and there's the
Lulu right there, and the Shenton will follow up, so will a Silence and a Smoke Screen. Lulu not getting taken down though, and her ult's gonna save her. That's really big. Graves picking up the Blitzcrank early. This is not good. Hecarim being taken down again. Cho'Gath doing a lot of damage there, and Ezreal did have that GA. He is going to get taken down, and Shen will be back in this fight. Will they be able to take down this Graves? Cho'Gath's feast is done. Now it is just a giant tanky Cho'Gath, and the blue team just did not have the good engagement like they wanted, and Lulu ended up living through that fight. Unfortunately, they did not just pick up the Lulu, and Graves just instant bursted the Blitzcrank as they were trying to dive the Lulu, so that was huge in winning the red team the team fight. And I think this is easily just going to be a Baron and then maybe a push right here after they back, of course.
Yeah, and that engagement for the blue team, it was basically, they did catch Lulu out, but way too many spells were used to try to just kill Lulu, and that was their main downfall right there, as they tunnel vision Lulu and didn't realize that the rest of red team were converging on them. Lux and Ezreal got bursted down, Shen died, and really the last remaining person of that fight was Cho'Gath, who was the tank. So really, red team just basically said, alright, you guys can try to kill Lulu, we'll just try to dive the rest of your team. And it really worked out in their favor. So every team fight in this game has really just been one misstep or another on one of these teams. And it's going to be almost the Game of Throws, actually, just seeing which team actually ends up playing a worse team fight, because I'm not really seeing any team fights where both teams are playing at their absolute best.
Definitely, and I do have to say one thing that's going to be key in winning this game is the fact that blue team has an inhibitor push. As you saw, because of that little Baron dance there, which the red team did won, they almost lost a tower and an inhibitor. That inhibitor was, I think, below like 100 health right there, or around 100, 200 health. The minions were just working on it, and they had to quickly get up and clear it out.
Red team's inhibitor,
but because of that Baron, they almost lost a tower and an inhibitor. So the blue team's lanes are going to push because they are going to constantly, they have an inhibitor down. So whenever they push one lane, they need to worry about another lane pushing. So we're going to have to see how that affects these last few minutes of the game here. I'm not even sure if this game's going to end soon. We're getting into that stage of the game, though, where spawn timers are over 30 seconds. They're going to be huge if you get caught out.
Yeah, spawn timers are actually... Everyone on the red team is level 18, whereas everyone except for Shen and Blitzcrank on the blue team are level 18. So the spawn timers are going to be about a minute for most members of this game. Very, very huge. So these team fights are going to matter so much more. And if there was a complete ace from the red team, if they were to ace blue team right here and right now and have, 3 or 4 champs up, they might end the game right here and now. Whereas if blue team were to take it straight up ace with 3 or 4 of their members alive, they'll be able to push down the inhibitor and maybe get the nexus. But the minions are not pushing down mid lane, so they might not be able to do that. But actually, as I say that, minions in the bottom lane are pushing. So I feel like if either team were to win a convincing team fight with an ace with 3 or 4 of their members alive, they'll be able to win the game from here on out if they play it smart.
I do have to say, well, I liked what the blue team did there. They are behind and they are down a Baron, but I have to say I really, really like what they ended up doing right there. As you can see, they came out of their base, they came out of their comfort zone, but also these minions would push this inhibitor. Unfortunately, it's not going to fall down, and because of it, it looks like they might pick up an inhibitor mid here. Not sure if they're going to be able to do it. Red team could engage on there. Very nice flash down, keeping Shen out of the fight. Getting Ezreal and Lux ulted. Hecarim being taken down pretty low. But Diana and Hecarim both on Ezreal. He is currently blinded now. Not going to be able to lifesteal there. And Lux is over the wall. Going to be able to pick up Lulu here. And I'm not sure how this fight is going to go yet. Cho'Gath in the middle of the rest of the fight. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pick up Teemo there. But Grave definitely going to be able to pick up Cho'Gath right here. And I don't think that was a very nice binding there by Lux, but just picking up a consolation prize as she will die as well. And unfortunately,
wow.
Blitzcrank is the only one up, right now. And spawn timers, as you can see, spawn timers over 60 seconds now. They really have to survive. And if they would have gotten that inhibitor, that would have been huge. That fight, pretty even throughout it, but just Ezreal, they have so much dive with the Diana and the Hecarim that Ezreal just wasn't able to escape, despite the fact that he did blow Flash and Arcane Shift. He was just exhausted and blinded, and there was just too much going on him.
Alright, and the main thing that I don't like about that team fight was the fact that Shen did decide to flash taunt into the back line of the red team there. It was certainly not the time. I think they should have either went straight for the team fight or went for the inhibitor, and even held off a little bit longer. Keep attacking the inhibitor and having Shen taunt someone who was in range of the taunt and be able to fight a fight where not... Basically what he did there was try to force a fight too far away from where the rest of his team was, and the only person with a real gap close is Ezreal, so there wasn't really anyone who was going to be able to follow up very well.
Graves might get caught out here, and if this is going to be huge. If Graves is going to get caught out here, Blitzcrank choosing to not continue to chase. No, it looks like he's just checking the bush. Maybe he was going to leave and back in there. But Graves is going to run away right there. That would have been really big if Graves ended up getting caught out right there.
And both teams just sitting back, farming a little bit, taking their own jungle. And we are nearing that point where most people are just about full build, so it's not going to be so much about the gold difference in this game as it is the tower score. And this is one of those things where I would like to point out, which is what I really hate, but a lot of people say, and by a lot of people I mean someone I can name, but they like to say, okay, 10k gold difference is the point of no return. Absolutely not. When you're 50 minutes into the game, it's even less the point of no return. Blue team are about 10k gold behind, just about, but they are still able to take some of these fights if they were to fight it correctly. Not only that, but both teams are almost full build, if not some of their champs are full build, such as Ezreal and Graves are full build. So these fights could go either way. Either team could really win this, and that's why I absolutely hate it when people say 10k gold difference is the point of no return. Lunette, if you're listening, there you go.
I'd like to quote M5 versus, at the time they were CLG EU. They came back from a 15k gold disadvantage. And again, that's one reason why I think even if CLG wins games, or at least old CLG EU and CLG, one of the reasons that their old strategy worked, their really passive wait till later, is because no matter who win or lost, all you need to do is clear for a late game team fight, and if you win a late game team fight, you have time to just push for the win.
That's very true, and Ezreal, it's a very good thing that there were no wards from the red team on Dragon, because they would have realized Ezreal's not there. They might have been able to force a Baron fight or force a team fight, so Ezreal, probably not the best choice to go take Drag, especially this late into the game where the gold from Dragon really isn't going to make a big difference whatsoever.
Here comes
as we've said.
Baron out from the red team right here. It's getting pretty low. Will we see it stolen? No, they're not even going to try to steal it there. They want all their ults up for this team fight. We could see the final team by here. Hecarim coming in here, catching out Ezreal, getting on the red buff. Nice taunt from Shen, and there goes the locket as well. Ezreal going to be able to get out of that fight, but he's already starting the fight at half health. That is not something you want. Teemo being taken really low, though, but getting ulted by Lulu. Ezreal's GA is up, however, though, so that's going to be pretty big as things were a lot less blown on Ezreal now. Ezreal is going to be one of the most important things about this fight. Shen, realizing he's going to die, just wants to give Ezreal that shield, and Hecarim will escape right there. Blitzcrank missing his pull. That would have been a key pull right there. And they do have Ezreal there. Ooh, catching out Diana there. Ezreal walking into his room, though, and the Lux Laser almost. Very nice kill, sniping over the wall, picking up that Diana kill. Unfortunately, that will stifle any pushing, but very, very well aimed shots right there from coming out from the blue team. They made a best of the bad situation there and took a little consolation prize. So that fight will actually not be even, but they will pick up Diana, which, you know, they are all low, so they are going to be forced to go back.
And even though red team had the Baron advantage right there, which certainly gave them an advantage at that fight, they kind of threw it away because they were fighting over the wall into the enemy team's base, where against a Lux, against an Ezreal, whose skills can damage heavily over walls, really not a very good idea, and we just saw so much damage from both Ezreal Qs, along with every one of Lux's spells, and that was really what made the team fight go into blue team's, I wouldn't say favor, but that was the reason they were able to hold it off, even when the red team had Baron.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like we're just going to see some lane clearing here. Not wanting to see any lanes pushed in the wrong direction here for the red team or the blue team. Just a little bit more farming. At this point in the game, only a few champions actually need to complete items. Blitzcrank, you know, has 2 items down still. Shen still has 2 items to build to complete his kit. But other than that, Hecarim still needs 1, and so does Lulu. So things are pretty even, but it's almost 60 minutes into the game here, so we're going to see a big fight happen, and we're going to see at least an inhibitor, if not the game taken, if you know, teams start getting advantages.
Yeah, at this point, everyone is level 18 except for Shen, actually. He's out-leveling the support, but as we've said, spawn timers are just getting so high right now. One team fight, if it's taken in a convincing way, can really just spell the end of this game, so both teams we're going to see playing extremely carefully. And I really, at this point in the game, want to see more wards, because at this point, if one person gets caught out, it could potentially mean the end of the game, as it once again forces a 4v5 fight, and one team fight, if won in a convincing way, will end the game. So Lux just trying to get as much damage done as she can, and she hit almost everyone from the red team with her ultimate. And being Lux, it'll be back up by the time the fight actually breaks out, so it's never a very bad idea as Lux to take those pot shots.
Another thing about that I liked is it hit all the minions, which might have been one of her intentions as well, because she wants to keep them from being pushed. As long as they have Baron, you know, no one wants a team with Baron knocking at your doorstep, especially with a full minion wave. So I really think that that also was pretty, you know, good in the fact that it hit everyone, and it, you know, took down a whole wave of minions. Oh, it's not such a good Lux ult there though.
Yeah, she did throw out the E for sight, her Lucent Singularity, but I guess it just didn't help very much, and she didn't really even get the minions in that one either. But Hecarim looking for an initiation,
jumping in on Ezreal into the middle of the team again. Cho'Gath is tanking the team, and there goes Hecarim, getting ulted up by Lulu. Ezreal being taken really low, flashing away twice and getting Shen ulted. The exhaust was on him though. Now Teemo being taken down pretty low by Ezreal. Teemo flashing out of the Shen taunt there, not wanting to get picked up right there. And now it looks like Hecarim jumping back on Ezreal, but he's going to be able to slow that pony, getting rid of a lot of his attack damage there. Looks like Diana might look to get a kill here. Does have Sunfire, not going to be able to be bursted down by Ezreal right there. And Shen looks like he is in trouble now. Cho'Gath actually did have the home guard, so he is back in the fight now. Unfortunately, Cho'Gath not going to be able to do much outside of just running in and tanking everything, so it looks like he might get taken down here. No, it looks like he was almost going to do feast animation on Hecarim there. And very, very nice by Blitzcrank there, picking up a quick kill on Diana, but unfortunately this most likely will be an inhibitor. Oh, Blitzcrank, I want to see you kill this Hecarim so bad. There you go!
That tense moment when everything is silent, just want to see if he'll get the kill. Yeah, I believe he still has his grab up, so...
Ooh, very nice grab there on Lulu, hitting that grab. Lulu flashing away, but evading Teemo into all the shrooms. Just look, he's following her completely, and Lulu continuing the bait, but there is the slow, and now it looks like Blitzcrank is in trouble there. Lulu is now on the offensive, and we are seeing a battle of the supports, and no, they're just going to back off.
There were moments in that team fight where both teams just kind of overstayed their welcome. The reason that team fight went so badly for the red team in the very first place was that, wow, teleport in from Lux to take out the inhibitor. Very good play right there, and she's going to be able to back out as well. And, you know, that's actually an extremely good play, right? Because she took out an inhibitor. So bot lane for the blue team is going to be pushing down the bot lane. So that's going to take a lot of attention off their own base and really help them in terms of Baron control along with overall map control. So definitely not a wasted teleport whatsoever. Great job on Lux.
And very nice noticing that her lane was pushing, and she didn't die for it. She got out scot-free, so that's really good. And bottom inhibitor, in my opinion, is one of the best inhibitors to have down because it offers you Baron control, and that this late in the game is really important.
Yeah, just now everyone is basically on their way to full build. Let's see, Lux just a tiny bit off. She does have Giant Spells and Seeker's
Oh,
Arm
that
Guard, so
Hecarim.
few more things to Hecarim with so much speed right there. He's got the home guard boots as well. He's just rushing out of the base. Very, very fast horse.
Yeah. I think they set a world. Civ HD set like some world record with attack damage world record with Hecarim. Like they got a team comp and they maxed everyone's level, and then they just did the thing with home guard and revive Ghost. But that was pretty interesting.
Yep, and these teams both just doing as much as they can do. Once again, I feel like the red team would benefit from more wards. They can't really rely on Team Mushrooms to win this game for them, and as much as Simon would like to disagree with me, wards really just, especially in late game, almost overpower Team Mushrooms. Even though Team Mushrooms do damage, they don't quite give as much sight, and you really have to think about it only really works if someone steps on the Team Mushroom, which much less than a ward. And it looks like both teams just once again doing the Baron dance. Red team not quite going for it yet, but here comes the possible initiation.
I have to say, just pay attention to bot lane real quick. There's that giant minion wave pushing up. Luxalt missing anyone, but Graves does get dove onto an exhausted Lulual. Is going to be able to save his life though. So that's big, keeping Graves alive. And look, Cho'Gath not even going to be able to take him down. The fact that Graves lived is huge. Ezreal going to be doing a lot of damage to Diana, but not going to even be able to pop GA here. Looks like red team showing complete fight dominance right now. And it looks like now that actually might end up winning. And Blitzcrank, no, don't lead him to your minions. That's not what you want to do. Looks like the Blitzcrank is dragging Hecarim towards the minions. They are losing towers, though. We could actually see something happen here, though, because there's so much pushing. But Hecarim coming up, Blitzcrank don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to bait him. He's like, hey, look, lose your towers and lose the game. Yeah, it probably is going to be GG.
Wow, that last team fight. Really think Lux would have just... It would have been a one team fight if Lux would have saved her ultimate just a little bit later. And her ultimate actually procs her passive, so if she would have landed a Lucent Singularity before landing her ultimate, it would have just done so much more damage, and she barely even hit anyone with her ultimate as it was fired. So that was sort of one of the biggest missteps of that last fight. Another one was certainly the fact that they were not actually able to kill Graves at the very end, which also helped snowball that fight out of control for the red team. But GG, very, very great game, almost passing the 1 hour mark.
Yeah, definitely. That was a long game if there was anything to be said about it. But that was a very interesting game to watch. There were a lot of back and forths, and really it kind of kept me on my edge. I really didn't see a foreseeable victor, the whole time. So I kind of like games that are like that.
Definitely.
I'm not gonna lie. It's exciting to see a game that you don't instantly know what's gonna happen.